I've been going to a lot of train shows recently, maybe 5 or 6 over the past year, and I've been able to find a couple of plastic stations made by Lionel. The small one was only $5, and the larger Rico station was just $22. That's pretty cheap, and it's nice that somebody else has already assembled them. I also printed a few O Scale apartments and storefronts, attached them to foam core, and I now use them as backdrops, both on my layout and when I'm photographing completed train builds. Another project that needs my attention is this replica of Disney's Cinderella Castle, but progress has been very slow. I'm having trouble figuring out how to make the conical-shaped roofs for the turrets, and I need at least 4 of them. So buildings have been on my mind a lot lately, I guess. The used Lionel stations, and especially the foam core facades, have been pretty inexpensive. Styrene plastic is easy to work with, but not exactly cheap. Wood, however, is a different story, and I have piles of scraps all over my garage, so my cost for materials should be pretty low. My layout is very small. So ideally, any structure I make needs to have a fairly small footprint. So just like in urban areas all over the world, I'm going to build upwards. I'm not sure about the final height for this building, so I'll leave the option for it to be as many as 6 stories tall. Because this is the realm of 1/48 scale, where 1/4 inch equals 1 foot in the real world, there will be 3 inches between each level, which is 12 feet per floor. Plenty of room for reinforced concrete to stand on, space for ductwork, plumbing, and electrical in the ceiling, and then 8 or 9 feet of scale room height inside. These thin strips of wood are pieces of pine, cut to size from what's left of a 2x4. I left them just a little bit longer than necessary, and because pine is so much softer than poplar, sanding them flush later on will be much easier. They mostly push into place on the first try, and I'm actually looking for a snug fit, so if I have to do a little bit of sanding, that's okay. I definitely don't want them to be loose. Since I made the notches in the one big piece of poplar before cutting it into individual strips, everything lines up pretty nicely. These little blocks will ensure that the vertical pieces have a consistent space between them. And this is actually the snug fit that I was going for. The tightness and the wood glue will keep sanding later on to a minimum. Eventually, I'd like to build a shallow interior for this building, maybe just 1.5 inches deep, to show off a few desks, perhaps a bank of elevators, some people, and LEDs for lighting. With the back of the facade sanded flush, I can use a thin sheet of plexiglass from behind for the windows. I've waited until now to trim the top and the bottom. By running the completed assembly through the table saw, it's far less likely to have gaps when these vertical pieces are matched to the horizontal sections. I can't say that I've ever seen a concrete building that I would describe as pretty. They're functional, I suppose, and they must be fairly economical to build, since you see so many government buildings, libraries, and university structures made that way. I'm picturing mine as one of those three, probably an administrative or office center in an urban environment. Most of the building so far has been made from poplar, but I'm going to make the steps leading to the entrance from pine. It's much softer and a lot easier to work with than the harder poplar. If I owned a planer, then this entire thing would have been made from a close-grain white hardwood. But it's difficult for me to get a consistent thickness on those wider strips with just my table saw. I'll use a 3/4-inch block of plywood for a consistent spacing between steps. That makes each one 3 feet deep in 1/48 scale, so that should make for a pretty grand or dramatic lead up to the front doors. Scraps of wood of the same thickness as the steps will help support each subsequent level, and a few weights will hold it all together until the glue dries. It's a multi-step process, pun intended.
Ba ba
With the steps in place, it's time to build the columns to support the roof leading to the entrance. I cut them to have the same thickness as the vertical pieces above, and I'll use the same spacing as well, so that the section above the roof lines up with the section below. The bases of the columns have just a little decorative detail to break up the space and add some interest. Maybe people will sit here on sunny days to enjoy their lunches al fresco. The roof is just a block of wood at this point, so I'll change that up before I'm done. Probably with lighting and some molding, maybe a sign with the building's name or address. I haven't thought it all the way through just yet. I'll keep working on this for the next couple of weeks. Check back every now and then for progress. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. And until next time, this has been Bob's Workshop. Take care.